Korome, let's take a look at your week 5 assignment 3 drawing here. I'm just going to crit what we have in place right now. It's going to be fairly short, but there's a few things already that I want to kind of point out before we go into this any further. The first thing, very much I think like Brian's, who we just took a look at, I think it's really better that you work on the entirety of the composition at once than working in these kind of little kind of subsections. I think it's just easier for things to come together when they're being gradually built, together, because you get a better idea of how things work. The floor, color-wise, maybe it's going to work better. If you have a good idea of how it's going to relate to the rest of the elements, rather than just kind of going in and completely doing it while everything else is kind of in place. What if it doesn't work? What if it's too light? What if it's too dark? What if it needs to interact with the walls in some way? So I would have liked to have seen that, although at this point it's a little bit too late for that. But there's there's definitely a degree of the process that I think should be followed in some of these drawings that we dealt with in week 4, and so this really isn't kind of following through with them. What I have in place right now, I think you're running into just a few perspective issues already, and so this is something that you'll want to have to deal with at some point before you kind of move on. You have a vanishing point that's kind of moving in this kind of direction. It's definitely off the page, which is good. But the thing is that the countertop here should be kind of moving towards that same vanishing point as well. So where it kind of the counter ends here, you're going to have it moving towards the same vanishing point as kind of everything else. So what this means is that you're going to have, it's going to be right about here. It's going to move in this direction. This should all be kind of wall, if you know what I mean, like kind of continuation of this doorway or this wall that you have. That's actually going to be kind of a part of it, because this countertop is moving in the same direction as this guy is. And the same with the sink. The sink, I think it has to have more of a severe kind of angle to it than what you have in place right now, and that's going to make it feel like you're looking at it more from the side than you are from the top, which is the problem that we're having right now. I'm not sure if the island is moving towards the same vanishing point as the wall is. That's not necessarily something that it has to, but generally these things like the islands and the walls are kind of angled in the same way, so they should be sharing the same vanishing point. The wall's vanishing point is about here, so that would mean that the island would have a perspective that's more in line of about that. So it would actually be getting a lot smaller as it moves towards the that vanishing point than I think what you have in place right now. And I'm also not really seeing it kind of recede like the wall is on the other side. So you have here, you have the vanishing point. It's about, I'd say, about here. So this side should actually be kind of moving towards it in the same way as well. So you've got a really kind of, you've got an island that just isn't conforming to this perspective that the background elements are, or that kind of this wall and this wall are. And I think that you don't notice it kind of right away, but what I notice about it more than anything is that it's actually not getting smaller as it moves away from the viewer, whereas the elements that are in the back wall are doing that to a great degree. So this should also be doing it to a great degree if this is doing it that way as well. So there is kind of a disjoint. It doesn't hit you kind of right away, but it's definitely there, and it definitely catches my eye when I see it, although I have to break it down. I have to kind of plot it out and figure out what it is about it that's kind of making me scratch my head. But once I start charting things out, vanishing points and horizon lines and where angles should be going, that's when you start to figure these things out. That, and I think this kind of little inset that needs to be made, you need to be making a wall back here, because it's just kind of, the countertop is just kind of moving into the wall and past it. Those are things that need to be fixed, and then obviously all the other stuff that needs to be added to it.